Hey guys, and welcome to my third March weekly wrap-up. This week I was able to get through 3 things, all pretty much in the same sort of genre. Well, sort of. The first thing that I finished this week was The Secret Place by Tana French. This is the 5th Dublin Murder Squad book. I have finally gotten to the last Dublin Murder Squad book that is out currently. The 6th one comes out later this year, and that makes me very, very excited and happy. As for this one I actually buddy read with Lindsay from Lindsay Ray. It's been a little while since I buddy read with her, or with anybody for that matter, but it was really nice to actually sit and talk to someone about these, and ever since we've been having conversations more about murder mysteries and kind of talking about different topics within that. And she actually just did a video about mysteries that she recommends, which I approve of because she talks about a lot of good stuff in that. So we better read this. I think we had mostly the same kind of feelings about it. She liked it a little bit more than I did. But generally throughout the series we've had the same kind of opinion on each of the books in the series. Both of our favorites are the second one and fourth one, which is The Likeness and Broken Harbor, just because those ones feel the strongest. They have the strongest characters, the strongest plot, and in general are just the best books in the series. And then it's kind of a tie between this one and the third one, Faithful Place, of which one is our least favorite. For me, this one is definitely my least favorite. This one kind of follows the school of teenage girls, and there was this murder that happened there. It was actually a murder of a guy who went to a school that was nearby that everybody at the girls' school knew in some capacity. So it was surrounding his murder, which actually happened a year before this book actually takes place. And in this school they have this board called The Secret Place where girls can hang up notes and cards and stuff about secrets that they have that they don't want to tell anybody. It's kind of suggested that this will be a way for them to get out things that they won't necessarily be able to get out otherwise, whether that be positive things or negative things, or whether that's something appropriate or not so appropriate. That's kind of a toss-up of whether this was actually a good idea or not. But something is posted on that wall about this guy who got murdered, his name is incidentally Chris. So someone has posted on this wall about this guy Chris, and this girl who's actually in the third book, she is the daughter of the person that we follow, the main character we follow in the third book, Frank. His daughter Holly is a main character in this book. She actually takes that information, that card that got put on this secret place wall, and takes it to these 2 detectives to see if they can come and learn anything that wasn't learned a year ago when the murder actually took place. So overall I had a tough time getting into this one, mostly because I just didn't really care about a lot of what was happening, just because there was just a lot of teenage drama and stuff that seemed to be happening. It kind of went between, this is the first time this has ever really happened, it went between the perspective, a third-person perspective of this group of girls, this group of friends in the school that's like surrounds Holly, and then from one of the detectives in other parts. So it kind of switches back and forth between those 2 perspectives, and I really liked the detective parts, the detective perspectives, because they were actually pretty interesting, and because they were just like doing a lot of interviews and trying to figure out what is happening. But at the same time it did get kind of tedious, because every single chapter that they did seemed to be just interviews in the same sort of fashion. It didn't really seem to change that much. It was kind of dull. And then the Holly parts that kind of mixed it up a little bit were just really weird and didn't really do much for me, because I wasn't very interested in what was happening. It just didn't seem like on either side there was a lot of character development happening for quite a bit throughout the book. However, the more you go through it, the more character development there is in both parts, especially in the parts that follow Holly and her friends. You learn quite a bit about them, and these 2 detectives in this one had this really interesting dynamic that we hadn't seen before in previous books in this series, which was really nice to see. And overall I did like it. It ended up growing on me quite a bit, but it took me a while to get there, so I gave it about a 3 to 3.5 stars. The second thing that I got through this week is called The Silent Girls by Eric Rickstad, and I really, really like this a lot. I gave it a pretty solid 4 stars. I actually just filmed a full review of this book, just need to edit it, and so that should be out tomorrow after this video is done, so look out for that. But I really wasn't sure what to expect going into this. I didn't pick it up for any specific reason necessarily. It was mostly just on a whim that I picked this up, and I kind of picked it up because it was recommended to me on Audible, and because it was narrated by the same guy who narrated The Martian, R.C. Bray, and I really liked his narration of The Martian, so I decided to give this one a go, and I ended up really liking it a lot. Basically, these detectives and this ex-detective who has come back, he's been hired back to help these detectives solve this case. This girl has gone missing, and this ex-detective named Frank Rath has been asked in to kind of help along the investigation. He's had a lot of tragic stuff happen to him in the past. He's got a really great dynamic with the detectives that he's working with. They're all trying to find this missing girl, and then all of a sudden it's starting to come out that possibly there are other disappearances of other girls in nearby areas, and it's completely unknown whether or not these are related because there is absolutely nothing really connecting these girls in the slightest. So a lot of it is them trying to figure out what connects these girls, and if there is anything that connects these girls, and if these are just disappearances, if they're murders, if they can save any of them, and what has happened to these girls, but more specifically this one girl. But it's really intriguing, really compelling, and I really like the characters a lot. Really like the story a lot, really like the writing a lot. I think had some great humor, had some great, really strong dialogue and character development, which I really enjoyed a lot. It has a little twinge of horror to it, and is kind of suspenseful and thriller-esque. So I very highly suggest you give that a shot if any of that sounds interesting to you. Like I said, more of my full thoughts will be out in that full review, that full spoiler-free review that will be out tomorrow. The last thing that I finished this week was called The Outfit by Richard Stark. This is the third book in a series called the Parker series that I've mentioned a few times on here. I just read the second book either last week or a couple weeks ago. The second book was called The Man with a Getaway Face, and the first book was called The Hunter. This book is called The Outfit, and it's basically it's more of like a revenge story kind of thing. This whole series so far has been one big revenge story of this one guy named Parker who's just twisted and messed up and will do literally anything to anyone to get anything done. And what he wants done is get his revenge on this sort of organization that has betrayed him, gone against him, made life a little bit more difficult for him, and he's just not dealing with it. So I'd say this is kind of like crime, thriller kind of thing. He is very much a criminal, and a lot of the book follows criminals. This book specifically has him kind of going around and finding people and encountering people that he knows that he can bring to his side and help him to do the things that he wants to do, to help him take the revenge that he wants to have. And so we meet a lot of different new characters in this, a lot of different new criminals that do a lot of crazy different things. And it was fun. I think I liked this better than the second one, and possibly better than the first one, I'm not sure. But I definitely did enjoy it, and I'm going to keep going on with the series. They're pretty short books, so I definitely suggest giving them a shot, because I think some people on here would like them. Anyway, that's everything that I read this past week. I'm finally getting this video out a couple days earlier than I have been getting these videos out. But since I just released the week before this one's wrap-up just a few days ago, I haven't really gotten many comments on the video that I posted last week. So the segment that I've been doing at the end of each of these videos where I answer last week's comments is kind of minimal. Basically just Steve kind of re-upped the suggestion that I read a book called The Collector, which I'm definitely going to do, and then Miriam from Between Lines in Life mentioned the film Prestige and that she really liked it, and I read the book The Prestige last week and talked about it quite a bit in comparison to the film. But yes, read the book, watch the film again, compare the two. I think you'll like both of them. They're both really great, very close to one another, and they're a really interesting kind of psychological thriller-esque thing about magicians. So that's it for this video. If you guys have read anything that I talked about today, then please let me know, and let me know what you think about it. If you have any thoughts on anything that I said, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with more.